Good morning, Eric Boehlert.
Good morning.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? That tweet I just read about I've been talking specifically about Meet the Press this morning, but
Uh,
he just lets Kevin McCarthy get away with. Of course, he's just ridiculous. Democrats want to shut the government down. They wanted this shut down. Right on and on. Oh, we don't need any legislation to protect Mueller because that's not important now. And then our side gets Joe Manchin. Who's literally like, right? He asked him about Mueller, him firing Mueller, and he says, "Well, I don't know about that. That's New York talk."
yeah, I mean McCarthy going on Meet the Press is. I mean, it's just total gaslighting. I mean, that's what they do, right? Over the summer, there was a bipartisan support, certainly in the Senate, for some sort of bill to protect Mueller. And then, as the fall came around, McConnell said, "Well, we're not gonna schedule a vote because nobody's talking about firing Mueller." So now we get the report that Trump specifically talked about firing Mueller, and McCarthy goes on Meet the Press and says, "I'm not really hearing anything about it." It's just,
Yeah.
They're operating in the parallel universe, and as we've talked about many times, that parallel universe apparently involves a secret society within the FBI that meets underground and plots Trump's demise. So every week it's a new shiny object. Now it's going to be acting AG Rosenstein, and apparently he approved a FISA wiretap for Carter Page. And I say, great, that's good. It proves the Department of Justice was doing its job, and it proves the Department of Justice was freaked out in real time by members of Trump's own campaign team and why they were, canoodling with the Russians.
Well, and Eric, as we've said over and over again, I mean, this double standard is just so infuriating. But, Bob Mueller, James Comey, Rosenstein, on and on, all lifelong Republicans.
Yeah.
This, conspiracy theory that has to do with them being some part of some deep state secret society aimed on bringing Trump down is just beyond ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, and people forget, James Comey's claim to fame, the reason he became a rising star, the reason he became the director of FBI was during the 1990s. He was a Republican star because he worked on the Whitewater Committee, because he, spent years, chasing this charade about Clinton as criminals. So, I mean, the idea that James Comey is now this hippy-dippy Burlington guy who's out to get Trump, and he's conspiring with all these liberals within the FBI.
Well,
I mean, the FBI for 50 years. I mean, if you came out of college and you were a Rib Rock Republican, you worked for the FBI. If you came out of college and you wanted to work for the government and you were a liberal, you worked for the State Department. I mean, that's the way it's been for half a century. And now the Trump White House and the GOP is trying to depict, not only trying to completely undermine trust in law enforcement, trust in the Department of Justice, trust in the FBI, but trying to portray it as this kind of, New England college campus radical hotbed. I mean, it's just an absolute joke, and that doesn't really come across, as you say, in the press coverage. People should point out every one of these people being smeared by the White House, by the Republican Party, are Republicans themselves.
Look
right.
Look at their haircuts. Crying out loud.
That alone. But, Eric, I mean, beside the fact that, of course, it's pretty well documented the opposite is true, that, it was pro-Trump factions in the New York FBI in particular that pressured Comey to release this letter, which quantitatively helped give the election to Trump. I mean, talk about gaslighting, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, up is down, black is white, and of course, particularly in October and November of last year, that we had these massive leaks going straight from the New York FBI office through Rudy Giuliani and right onto Fox News, and they were pushing every conceivable. I mean, Brett Baer. I mean, we forget, all this stuff that is dead and buried. But a week before the election, Brett Baer, the quote-unquote Fox News anchor, the guy we're supposed to take seriously, led off the evening news on Fox News with some harebrained claim about the FBI was about to indict Hillary Clinton.
Right.
In 48 hours, he had to kind of grovel on the air and said, "Oh, my sources weren't wrong." So this was the drumbeat within the FBI, and of course they were trying to dismantle her campaign. And of course it's ridiculous now to claim there was a secret society. I mean, these this was based on a joke text that Ron Johnson, none of these guys have any sense of humor, apparently.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I mean, it really is. I know you and I have laughed about it over the years, but it just at this point is so beyond ridiculous and exhausting. The But Hillary storyline, right? I mean, there they are. I mean, the huge story is Steve Wynn, who's the head of the RNC finance committee, and it's like,
Right.
oh, but Hillary didn't fire a guy 10 years ago.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It's a completely. I mean, it's no one is no one that I saw attacked the accuracy of the story. I mean, if we want to take the guidelines from a brand new cultural revolution that has evolved in the last 6 months, if we want to take what those guidelines are today and put them in a time machine and try to apply them to
Right.
Hillary Clinton in 2008 when nobody was talking about this stuff,
Right.
That's fine if you want to do it. The real problem was the New York Times puts in the headline, Hillary Clinton's shield advisor, and clearly trying to make her out as a villain. The New York Times last year clearly shielded one of its own reporters, who, guess what, wasn't fired after accusations of harassment and was given the exact same punishment that Hillary Clinton's campaign gave out a decade ago.
Right. But I mean, Eric,
so
again, it's the false equivalency of the fact that we have a sexual assaulter, harasser in the White House and the head of the, Republican fundraising, whatever. And the fact that they give equal coverage to the Hillary Clinton demoted instead of fired a guy 10 years ago. And not to mention the fact that apparently she's responsible for the behavior of every man she's ever been vaguely in contact with, right?
Right. And the idea, how much coverage did Steve Wynn get on the Sunday shows yesterday? And the idea that, I responded to a CNN reporter on Twitter over the weekend. She was saying, well, if this had been, if this Hillary 2008 campaign, if we inserted the name Trump, how would all you Clinton apologists feel? And I said, if you seriously think it would be considered news how Donald Trump dealt with a sexual harassment allegation by a staffer 10 years ago, if you honestly think CNN would cover that as news today, you're living in a fantasy. And if you're so interested, I guarantee you there are 50 such cases from 2008 within the Trump campaign. Why don't you go report them? So, look, I mean, a lot of these people still have lingering resentment against Hillary Clinton. This is clearly a gotcha. She has been among the most powerful voices in terms of standing up to misogyny, trying to break through the glass ceiling, and they're just trying to do they're trying to do a gotcha, ha, you're a phony, et cetera, et cetera. It's personality based. It's not fact based. Again, there's nothing wrong with reporting that story. There's nothing inaccurate anyone has pointed out about the story. It's this obsession with trying to hold her to a different standard than everyone else.
They just don't like pantsuits.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you wrote a piece about Trump being booed in Davos. I mean, once again, of course, he said I was very well received in Davos, and we have the tape of him, of course, going
tremendous
after
crowd.
What does he say? Fake news. How I love him calling other people nasty, mean, and vicious.
Right.
He's referring to the press.
Right, he was bragging about all the great press he used to get as a businessman. Then it all became so vicious and fake when he started running for office. And I thought what was very interesting is, he was in front of an audience of international journalists, and he started talking about this vicious fake news. They immediately started booing and hissing him. I mean, he in 3 minutes in front of an international audience, he got more pushback that he's gotten from 2 years from American journalists.
Yeah.
It's just one side sits on their hands, and the other side says, you know what, we're not gonna take that. We're not vicious. We're not in the fake news business. But it was a depressing reminder of how the American press has just internalized and normalized all this stuff. I mean, could you imagine those White House press briefings in front of an international international journalist compared to frankly, a lot of the potted plants we see at the daily briefings on a daily basis, as they're lied to over and over, day after day.
Can we just pick one other irritating tick just for the moment that he does this all the time? When he started attacking the press, and he says, "As all the cameras start going off in the back," and of course there's clips of him everywhere saying that, which means that nobody turned the cameras off. He keeps repeating that they turn the cameras off when he says negative things about the press, and we've seen these clips how many times, right?
Oh, I mean, God, that goes back to the campaign, right? I mean, he would claim at the rallies, "Oh, all the lights go off." He and it's interesting, what was really, I mean, it's not even revealing at this point, but what started the whole Davos thing was a guy, a journalist asked an interesting question: what prepared you early in life to become president? And he started immediately, within 2 seconds, started talking about the press coverage he got as a businessman.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And by the way, you pointed out in here, many studies have shown he benefited from the media's relentless and mindless obsession on Hillary Clinton's emails. Not only did he receive far less negative coverage than Clinton in 2016, her so-called scandals got way more press coverage than Trump. So, I mean, ironic, right, that the media is also partially the reason he's in there, right?
Oh, partially, a huge part. And actually, I didn't have space, but that Harvard study that I'm citing, this is mind-boggling. His quote, he actually got more, quote, policy coverage than Hillary Clinton during the campaign. Wow. His policy for the opioids was a 2-sentence, "I'll fix it." Hillary Clinton had a 9-page policy paper on everything, and he somehow got more policy coverage than Hillary Clinton. Why? Because there's a limited band, and they spent so much of it on her emails, particularly on TV, particularly on network news, where they only have 22 minutes a night. There was literally no time left to talk about what Hillary Clinton would do as president, because they used it all to talk about her email.
Yeah.
How's that for a depressing way to start your week?
Yeah. No, the Matt Lauer interview. The Matt Lauer interview has to go in a time capsule, right? It's like,
exactly.
What about your emails? What about your emails? What about your emails? Okay, what's your ISIS plan? Quick, 10 seconds.
We're out of time. Oh, Donald Trump, so good to see you.
So good to see you. What a fantastic secret plan. Eric, real quick, so I know you watched the entertaining Sean Hannity clip having to turn on a dime and admit that the Mueller story was correct and confirmed by Fox News, then went to a car chase. So now, of course, Trump has said fake news in Davos, right? Even though his attorneys have refused to deny the story. So now what does Sean Hannity? I haven't watched. What does Sean Hannity or Fox News do?
Oh, it'll go back to Hillary. In fact, the night of the bombshell about Trump trying to fire Mueller last June, most of that show was about Hillary. There was actually talk about Hillary Clinton, Bill's meeting on the tarmac with the Attorney General. I mean, they went for all the classic hicks. Look, they pushed secret society, it imploded. The next day, Fox pretended it didn't exist. Now they're going to be pushing the Nunes memo until they have the nerve to release it. Then that will implode. So the answer is there's always Hillary. There's this, this Fox News host is now stalking her on the weekends.
I was just going to say that the Janine Pirro drunkenly screaming for Hillary in the woods in Chappaqua has to go in the time capsule for 2018.
Yeah, so there's always Hillary, and but they have these sort of rotating FBI smear campaigns. When one of them implodes, they'll go on to the other. So look, and the other thing with Hannity is people are, he is so panicked. He's not only panicked about Trump's job, he's panicked because he's losing to Rachel Maddow almost every night this year. And so these people understand that the way to boost your ratings is to go viral and say crazy stuff. So that's another reason that the temperature is just
unbelievable,
cranked up. Yeah.
Eric, see you at the Secret Society meeting. You know where. You know where. You know when. Okay. Say no more. All right. See you, Eric.